The name of our triune God, the name given to us at our baptism, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Grace, mercy, and peace to you, my dear friends in Christ. When you look at me, what do you think? Well, maybe you see that I'm tall. Maybe you think I play basketball. Or you see that I'm young, so maybe you think I'm inexperienced. Maybe you see my smile and you think that I'm happy. You all have eyes, and for most of you, they work pretty well. We naturally use our eyes to form thoughts in our minds, and we use those thoughts to create impressions that we have about others. But who's to say that what you think is accurate and true? We sometimes are quick to assume, but you can get into trouble if you assume too much. So say you think, I play basketball because I'm tall. Well, you might want to put a ball in my hand to see what I either can or cannot do with it before you ask me to be on your team. You may think that I'm inexperienced because I look young, but you may be pleasantly surprised to identify the life and ministry experience that I do have. You may think that I'm happy because I wear a smile. But how do you know it's genuine? How do you know I'm not just doing what I think you would want from me? Just going through the motions, putting this on the outside, where on the inside I'm sad, depressed, stressed out, overwhelmed. How can you ever know? How can you really ever know who someone is? I think we have to admit that it's hard to read people. They're not like a book that you can just open up and read from page 1 to the end and then discover at the end, oh yeah, now I know you. Now I get you. Right? Imagine if you were a book. What would you look like? Pretty confident none of us would really be a simple, short children's story. It'd be kind of nice if you were. It makes it easy for me to get to know you that way. Simple stories, but as it spills out, the complexity of your heart would probably fill volumes, if not enough volumes for a small library. That's who we are. We're so complex, so unique as individuals. How can you ever know? Even living with someone. If you're married, you know this. You can spend years with people, 50, 60 years, and still not entirely get who that other person is. And wake up the next morning and surprise you every day. The best we can do is what? Be a student of this other person. Ask before we assume. Continue to seek to understand before just trying to be understood. To understand someone, to get someone, you can try looking at them, but looks can be deceiving. You can try asking questions, but they may only tell you what they want you to know. You can even try living with a person, but there's no guarantee you'll ever get every complexity and uniqueness about a person. To really get someone, it has to be something more than what's on the outside. You have to be able to look into the heart. And the only way, though, to look into the heart is to have the eyes of the Lord. And the only one who has the eyes of the Lord are, well, the Lord. And that is very clearly taught in our lesson today from 1 Samuel 16. That it is only the Lord who can see into the heart. And we'll hopefully find some comfort from these words today. As we looked at heard our lesson today, we found out that Samuel, God's prophet, his chosen instrument to carry the word to his people, was sent now to Bethlehem, the city and town of Jesse and his sons. Given the simple instruction, go and anoint one of those sons to be the next king of Israel. Well, that's about all the instruction he really had. He just had to wait for God to indicate which child, which son it would be. Really, all that Samuel had were his eyes and some sound judgment. So as Samuel pulls into town, he goes ahead and sees Jesse's oldest son, Eliab, and thinks, surely the Lord's anointed stands here before the Lord. Right? Good, strong country boy. A soldier in King Saul's army. What could be so wrong with this guy? But the Lord sees something different, has a different intention than what Samuel thought based on what he saw. And the Lord makes clear to Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." The Lord does not look at the things man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. The Lord looks at the heart. So the same thing happened with the second son, Abinadab. He was rejected. Third son, Shammah, he comes by. Same thing. And the fourth son, and the fifth son, and the sixth son, and the seventh. It seems that poor Samuel is given a lesson in patience here. Surely one of these sons is going to be anointed king, but Samuel didn't know. But it took this ordeal for him to understand that it takes more than just good eyes and sound judgment to see what God sees, and to choose as God would choose. Well, sure enough, David comes along, the eighth and the youngest of the boys from Jesse. And he has the look, right? He was ruddy with a fine appearance and handsome features. But at this time, the look didn't matter anymore, did it? What mattered was what was in the heart. And the Lord indicated that this was the one, so Samuel anointed David, and one day David would become king, and a very good king for Israel at that. Samuel needed direct revelation to understand who this next king would be. To really get the mind of God and choose as God would choose was not even easy for Samuel. How can that be any easier for us? Certainly we don't have direct divine revelation where God speaks directly to us and says, "This is what I want about this other person." Without the eyes of God, how can we really know other people? And yet sometimes don't we act as though we have the eyes of God? These are times when we are quick to walk away from someone simply because a bad reputation precedes them. Or maybe we add to that bad reputation and let it continue. Or on the other end of things, maybe we're quick to jump in line with everybody else and praise and welcome somebody even though we don't know the first thing about them. Maybe the thought has come to your mind, or maybe even to your lips, to say, "Oh, I know your type." Or "I've worked with people like you before." Or "I don't need to see anything more. I can read you like a book." It's been said, don't judge a book by its cover, and there's some truth to that. Once you get into the book, though, you can kind of get some sense of judgment. And really, we are to use our eyes, and eyes are beneficial to that end. Even the Bible in a few places indicates that we can get to know people based on what comes out of them. But it is when we go too far. When we go up to the realm of heaven itself, and we go up there and make decisions and judgments that God should be making. It's when we go up there and play God that we go too far. And it is then that a genuine fear of the Lord should cause us to tremble. For He does look at the heart, and that means He looks at you and me. To see that we have not loved others as we should, we have not given them the benefit of the doubt, we have not kept to the 8th commandment and taken people's words and actions in the kindest possible way and then lived according to that and spoken about others in that way. And for that reason, we too, rejected by the Lord, should be. The Lord looks at the heart. Take time on that thought today. Really let it sink in. Don't pass by it quickly. The Lord looks at the heart. It was a simple sentence that was spoken to Samuel but means so much to you and me. The Lord looks at the heart and only sees what His eyes can see. Only He sees those things. The Lord looks at your heart. To Him you are an open book. There's no secrets, no hidden agendas, no masks. He knows you through and through. Looking into your heart. We wonder why he would accept or choose any one of us to say, this one is mine, that one, she's for me. And we may try to put this on the outside, this fine Christian appearance, these fine, handsome features, but that means nothing. Not as far as God choosing us. In fact, as God looks into the heart, he doesn't find anything there either to choose you to be his own. There's only one reason God would choose, select, and make you his very own, and that reason has nothing to do with you and everything to do with another. But this other person, you would never be able to identify him outwardly, necessarily. It would take the witnesses of others to point to him and say, like John the Baptist, look, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. It would take the very voice of the Father booming from heaven as the dove descended in bodily form. This is my Son whom I love, with him I am well pleased. And then there in the very life and ministry of Jesus, it became crystal clear that Jesus was more than just an ordinary man. That there was an extraordinary expression of love. The Lord looks at the heart. The Lord looked at the heart of Jesus when he presented himself holy and blameless before the throne of heaven and accepted him in our place. And now from heaven comes this righteousness poured out from heaven upon all of us. Like Samuel, who took the oil and anointed David for this special task and marked him as God's chosen one. So you and I, we have been chosen, selected, poured over with this love of God at your baptism. You were splashed with water on your head and connected to the family of God. That happened in the early service this morning, and what a blessing! This child, days old, baptized. This thing we see. And then what do we think? We know that all those who have been baptized have been given the heart of Jesus. That all those who have faith, from the least to the greatest, are saved. The Lord knows the heart, because he can look and see very clearly who you are and who I am. The Lord looks at the heart. And that gives me great comfort as I think of my role as your new pastor. It's good for me to know that the Lord looks into your heart, because now I know that he is aware of the sins that you may try to hide from me, but also aware of the sorrow that soaks your pillows at night. To know that the Lord looks at your heart gives me comfort, because I know he knows everything you need. More than a friend, more than a lover, the Lord knows every single want and need, so that he gives you what is best. It gives me comfort to know the Lord looks into your heart, because I know he is aware of the state of your faith. Whether you are days old or decades old, I can comfort you and build you up with the good news of the peace that is yet to come, where we will see Jesus in full glory. I can take comfort to know that I can comfort your families at your departure, that you are in that wonderful place. Because God marked you, he chose you, and he made you his very own. The Lord looks at the heart. Hopefully that gives you comfort as you think about me. To know that the Lord looks into my heart and knows those very same things. And as you look at each other and seek to accept one another and work with each other, the hearts of the people around you here are connected to Jesus. These are God's people. Maybe not perfect, but loved with the same love that accepted you. The Lord looks at the heart. Take this truth home with you today. Your Christian life may have that fine Christian appearance or those fine Christian features, or it may not, but it's not the look that matters. What matters is what's in the heart. And we know that the Lord clearly looks at and sees what's in your heart and mine. And yes, use your eyes. Use your eyes to see the good around people. Maybe not so much the good of what's on the outside, but to look and see as God would see, the good of people inside. Yes, the Lord looks at the heart. Amen. Please stand.